Welcome everybody to Service Drive Revolution. We have a very exciting show for you today. We are going to talk about a subject that could be a little touchy. Some of you might not be able to put your preconceived, blind faith following CNN, Fox News propaganda, but we're going to try to talk about which candidate, Biden or Trump, is better for the industry. And also, if we're really nice, Jeremy's going to tell us how to put a customer in timeout.
Oh, am I going to share that story? Oh, no.
It's a good story.
How do you put a customer in timeout?
We're not going to talk about that now. Before we go there, I want to talk about that. I tried your diagnostic, sell it as a package, don't sell diagnostic time. And
repair authorization, we call it, Jeremy. It has a name. Repair authorization.
He doesn't want to give it a name.
You tried it, and it worked, right?
Well, if you...
Oh, you're writing it down, so... Did it work or not?
No.
What happened? Tell me what happened.
It backfired miserably. So
could we acknowledge that it might have been the way you presented it?
It could long-term turn out to...
Explain
Wait. Did you just challenge my presentation skills?
Yes, exactly how it happened and how you presented it. Play it.
I'm not going to remember that, but I'll give you the story behind it. So,
female or male customer?
Male customer comes in.
How old?
I'm going to say mid-50s.
What's he do for a living?
Contractor.
Contractor, okay. Mm-hmm. Mid-50s, contractor, and what kind of car truck?
A Ford F-350.
How many miles?
200 and some thousand.
So he's a driver.
Yep.
How beat up was it?
No, it looked good from the outside.
Okay.
So I had a 6.0 Power Stroke.
Helped him before?
No, first-time customer.
First-time customer.
First-time customer.
Yeah. So he comes in, and what's wrong with it?
It's smoking and has a misfiring check engine light on.
And this is a Ford?
Yeah.
Your favorite?
My favorite.
Everybody, if you're new to the show, Jeremy O'Neill is a huge fan of Ford Motor Company.
Yes, I am. I own a lot of their stock. I do not own any of their stock. So he comes in and says, hey, can you diagnose my misfire and why my truck's running so bad? And he used the word diagnose. I said, well, sir, here at Freedom Auto Repair, we do things a little bit differently. We're experts at what we do. Let me take a quick look at your truck, and I can probably tell you kind of in a nutshell what it's going to take to get the thing fixed. You are more interested in getting it fixed rather than diagnosed, right? And so he was with me at this point in time. Like, I'm leading him down the path, right? Setting the hook, bringing things along. So with my past experience with 6.0s, my friends out there will know that I've paid a very huge price. I had one 6.0 that cost our shop a ton of money. I will not give you the dollar amount. But the number
cost it because we diagnosed it wrong or what?
It was just a long, just messed up repair process, and I put the customer first, so we just paid a large bill on that. So long story short, I go back to the customer and say, well, you obviously have this issue, and this issue, and typically on these 6.0s, this is what you're looking at doing. At this point in time with your mileage, it's best to replace the entire engine. We'll go ahead and I'll give you a price for a complete running engine with new injectors, new turbo, this and that. You're looking about $26,000. How does that sound?
I can't believe it. I can't believe it didn't work.
$26,000
on a first meet, right? Like, we've never met the guy before. We have no established relationship.
I'm really glad you guys can have fun at my expense.
You Babe Ruth out, you're swinging for the fences. I like that part.
So first of all, you're like the battered housewife. Like, so because you guys messed up one before, you're telling this guy he needs everything.
Well, but no, if you
what do you get for $26,000?
A new truck?
No. It's not a new truck.
What is the
Because the body's going to be just as old.
What is the truck worth?
Probably 15.
Yeah. So this scenario might not apply.
What do you mean the scenario? I thought it applied across the board.
Well, you're going for the throat. Like, that's a oversell at best.
That's not an oversell. I can factually back up everything that we quoted there. So keep in mind that truck definitely had a bad injector. And then we also had excessive pressure going into the cooling system, so it had bad head gaskets. And then with the mileage that's on it at that point in time, you're looking at pretty much going in and changing everything out to make it reliable.
So I'm a certified interrogator, and I can read below the surface here. I can tell by different things that you're doing, which I won't point out, that what you wanted to say, what you meant to say was, I don't want to work on your truck.
Oh. Okay. I could agree with that one.
So let's not say the repair authorizations don't work. Let's say that you didn't want to tell the guy that you didn't want to work on his truck because it maybe is a little past what you wanted to endure. You knew that it was going to be a mess. You don't like Fords.
Correct. So you're just saying that
you
I
have
found
a history with Fords that is sour. You feel like if you replace an injector, that won't fix it in the end, and he'll just come back. Mm-hmm. And so this really is something more psychological on your end.
It's about you.
Than
Oh my
the customer not okaying and signing for $26,000.
Right. You know what that reminds me of?
No.
What do you do if you're attacked by a clan of clowns?
What do you do if you're attacked by a clan of clowns? Do you want to guess, or are we just gonna?
I have this visual of clowns out on the bridge out here walking.
Yeah.
Attacking.
Happens every other day.
What do you do if you're attacked by a clan of clowns?
Go for the juggler.
That's a good one.
The juggler clown.
I like that.
Okay. Yeah. Also, like in the way you presented it, one thing I would say about repair authorization is you're presenting it like you already diagnosed it and you already know what's wrong with it. The way I would present it is, I'm giving myself this amount of money to work with. If it's less, it'll be less. If it's more, I'll let you know.
See, and I'm glad you bring that up because when we shot that initial episode, there was just something in my brain that was just like, okay, so for my independent advisors that are watching the show and listening to this, they're really going to struggle with this because independent shops live in diagnostic land all day long, especially if we're a repair shop. So I've been on both sides. I've been at the dealership, and I do agree we get pattern failures there. It's easier to take and put a dollar amount attached to a concern or a code, but in the independent world, there's so many different variables that come in with the age of the cars, past history, and all that. So I just want a little bit of clarification on that for the independent advisors out there with repair authorization. So thank you for clearing that up.
Okay, but what are we selling?
Peace of mind.
Okay, and so peace of mind comes with a well-maintained and operating vehicle.
Yes.
Okay, so we're the ones in the scenario that think labor time and parts price.
Yeah, that's the technical side of the repair order. Yes.
What are customers thinking?
When am I getting my car and will it be fixed right?
And how much is it?
And how much is it?
Yeah, and so we project our business model on the customer in just about everything we do. And hey, we need an hour to diagnose it, but we're not going to fix it, but we got to call you, but we don't have time to call you because we're so busy. Like, it's a disaster. Like, think, how far out are you booked in your shop? Like, you were saying earlier that you shut off you don't take appointments for a week every third week.
Correct.
You shut off appointments for a week.
Yes.
Okay, so customers are not in short supply.
No.
Okay, how much time during the day do you guys spend calling and updating? And how many, just in the time we've hung out together, how many people call you for an update or you're calling them for an update?
Well, I have a great proactive system with that. So realistically,
a lot of time is spent communicating with customers.
Yeah, it's part of the job. I mean, you have to communicate with your customers. Yes.
But once again, they just want it fixed.
Correct.
And so if you gave yourself not 26,000, but you give yourself a little bit to work with, it would save the phone calls, the back and forth, and it also gives your technician more time. It will cut down on comebacks too, because how many times you put in an injector, then test drive it and it's something else, and the customer's like, oh no, I thought it was just the injector.
Oh, I understand that.
And you got the outcome you wanted here, but sometimes the customer saying, no, I'm going to take it, is
I'm just figuring
okay.
out. So if I had 12 of those come in and I could close 4 of them, that's my monthly sales number in 4 cars. I could work on 4 cars a month and be totally happy.
Yeah, but I think that the thing that we know about this is it's going to come back.
Oh goodness.
Oh my gosh.
I think too with repair authorization, one thing that maybe we didn't talk about as much as we should is that the first thing on this is the trust part. Like you have to have a relationship built, and you have to have that confidence, and the client has to have confidence in you that you're trustworthy of, that you'll take care of their $2,500 budget. Like that goes first. Like you have to connect with the customer on the deep level. It's not necessarily something I do right out of the gate on the first customer when I've never met them before. I want to do it with someone that we've got a dialogue established. So I think that establish first and then kind of play the
Why did you even take the
pre-authorization.
appointment if you don't want to work on Fords?
I do want to work on Fords.
No, you clearly don't.
No, I do. They're our second car line out of the top 5 that we work on.
What's the top one?
Chrysler.
So Chevy is third?
Chevy's third. Then,
Where's Dodge?
Chrysler, that's all. And Chrysler number
all
1.
there.
Yeah, so Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep number 1, Ford number 2, GM number 3, Toyota number 4, Honda number 5, and bringing up the number 6 spot is Kia and Hyundai.
No VWs?
Very,
He doesn't
very,
like the German
no,
stuff.
I love Volkswagen. I
I
work
do
for
too.
Volkswagen.
You own
There's
one.
only like 12 of them up in the high desert, though.
Yeah.
You know what they say?
What do they say?
They say not to talk politics.
Oh, here we go.
Why do they say that though? Because I always tell people like, I'm happy to talk politics. People say don't talk religion and don't talk politics, and I'm always of the opinion you could change my mind. I don't know it all, and so people get super polarized, like, oh, you're wrong and you don't know what you're talking about, but then they lack any insight that isn't from TV, right? And so I want to be careful when we're talking about what candidate would be better for the industry, that it isn't about, oh, they're going to take your guns or whatever the latest little fear factor is.
Right.
And we're talking about actual business. What's better for the industry, not which candidate do we like more? If that makes sense.
You know, and my answers are probably going to surprise you a little bit because I'm sure everybody who's heard me on this show probably
You
feels.
being for Trump does not surprise me one bit.
No, do you want me to answer the question as far
Yeah,
as?
so who's better, Biden or Trump for our industry? Transportation.
I believe that Biden will be better for our industry. See, I told you. Shocker. You heard it here first.
When did you decide on this?
A couple hours ago. As I was processing through, in our pre-shoot meeting that we go through. But a couple things. I think one thing with Trump, and the word is chaos. And yes, the economy is probably going to take off again, and he'll take us to places we've never been. But I think there's a lot of fear based around him getting reelected from the masses. And I think when I look back at, Clinton's tenure, Obama's tenure, although they were not my candidates or my choice, they had very stable economic models in place. And I think that it might be better, Biden may be better for our industry. Silence. Wow. Is this my last show with you guys? Did I just get fired?
No, Jeremy, I don't think that politics aren't polarizing for me. I think it's ridiculous that anybody would be so polarized that they think they're in the White House, they're briefed by the CIA, they know everything that's going on. But when it comes to politics, we know what they let us know. But you go back and read old CIA or just go back and watch the documentary on Obama in the last year, and they talk about how they managed what we knew, right? And so I think that these sort of things are way easier looking back 4 years from now than they are right now, because decisions now are made emotionally.
Yeah.
And so there's nothing you could say about that would.
I'm just curious why we only have 2 choices.
Well, that's my point.
Right, I
Neither
mean-
one of the choices represent how I feel.
I would agree with that.
What do you think, Christian?
Well, I think a couple of things with this. One is I wouldn't say that I'm educated enough on politics to be able to have like a really, really good discussion with somebody about it, and that's probably on purpose. But the other thing I would say is that our industry is so beautiful that when I think back to my first back in the
Are you going
90s,
to describe our industry like a hot chick?
I might. You never know. But when I think back to the 90s, when I first
So
got into the
beautiful.
industry, and that first month where I sold a bunch of cars because I had no idea what I was doing, I don't remember getting that first paycheck and saying, "Thank God, Slick Willie, I couldn't have done this without you." Right? Like, so the president of the United States.
Slick Willie being Bill Clinton.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the president of the United States has
I have to
never.
interpret it for the audience. Slick
Thank you,
Willie.
everyone's back. But
That's good.
the president has never determined my paycheck. And I think that's the beautiful thing about our industry is no matter who's running it, there's so much opportunity for success that it doesn't really matter to me who's president because I know that we can be successful either way.
Yeah.
So I think that that's kind of like my thing.
We can only
with
do what we can
politics.
control, right?
We
We can control the customer experience. We can control our attitude, how hard we work, our focus.
Our adaptability.
Yep, our adaptability. That's a good one.
Yeah.
But I really feel, especially living in California, that I have any effect on the presidential race whatsoever because it's going to vote Democrat. It doesn't matter. I will say, living here in Los Angeles in California, that the Democrats running this state are terrible leaders. Terrible leaders. Something, I don't know, I'm sure in history it's happened before, but in my lifetime, I've never experienced leadership so bad and so blind. Like, it's insane what's happening down here. Crime is rising. People are looting.
You know, the rest of the country and even our friends north of the border in Canada absolutely just laugh at California. And you go back to when we elected Schwarzenegger as our governor and then, put Jerry Brown back in office. And I mean, it's crazy. There is no help for California. And I look at like what we've gone through with our kids at school right now, the amount of money our schools have wasted in programs that are designed to help people that have really no effect. And I'm sure it's billions of dollars. And that's the interesting part of, okay, socially, do we take care of everybody? And then capitalist, which is, okay, well, let's help, but let's be profitable when we do it as well, right? So it's very interesting that you say that. And yeah, I noticed that, outside on the bridge here, the homeless actually are starting to build houses. There's lumber hanging over the freeway from the tent city.
Yeah.
Out there.
Have you heard of that
crazy.
book, What's Going On in Kansas, I think it's called? No? It's a great book about how the Republican Party doesn't represent the people that actually vote Republican, and kind of the same thing. Like, people, like, say for example, people in my family would vote Republican because they're diehard Christians. But the Republican policies don't help them whatsoever because they're blue collar, working in the government sort of thing. And the thing with politics nowadays, and I've experienced it firsthand, watching people that I know and that are friends lobby and get laws passed, that most of what's happening in government doesn't represent the people. It's big money, like the PACs and all that. It's huge money, and those, if you want to be a senator or a congressman, you have to play to that, and so you're not really representing the people that vote for you very much, if at all. And I personally think the fix is you have to get rid of all of those PACs, and you have to limit. If you limited what people could donate to what, actually was, cap people at 1,000, and you didn't allow any of those PACs, and they're anonymous too. Like, you don't know who's in those PACs, right? So if you eliminated those, then the money that was raised would be more in line with what the people actually believe. And you'd have more of a voice. But I think most of the people don't have a voice today. because
Well,
it's
I agree
driven
with
by the commerce and the big companies.
And I mean, go back to the founding fathers. What if government went back to serving where senators and congressmen didn't get paid? What if they had to earn their living out in the real world and they just served their time? You wouldn't have people sitting in Congress for 20 and 30 years. You'd have them go in, do their service, fix things, and then go back to work. And it would be a government, of the people, for the people, by the people, however they say that.
That sounded really good.
Yeah, also the thing too with like the police and all that, like defund the police. Like the police need more training and more resources. You need more police, and you need to train them better. Like they need to. I don't know. What do you think a police person, man or woman, should do in training a year?
Oh, what they should do?
Yeah.
120 hours a year?
What do you think they do?
8? I don't know.
Yeah, it's like a week,
Yeah.
something like that.
So maybe
depending.
40?
Well, I heard Jocko talk about it. He was proposing every 5th day.
I think that's it.
That's actually really good. So that's 20%.
Yeah,
essentially of the work.
the path we're going down is anarchy in the streets, and it's really scary when you think about I've got to be very careful. I'm not going to be careful with what I say. But if you defund the police, who's going to control the masses? And who's going to, we deal with it every day at our shop. We're not in the best area. There's drug addicts, there's homeless, and there's really not a strong police presence in our area. And when you take that away, and if crime starts to become rampant, then there's going to be a time where people stand up and say enough is enough, and they're going to take the law into their own hands. And people are definitely going to get hurt when that happens. So
Yeah, and then there's no system for it.
there's no, right, and that's the part
Yeah.
that scares me. So I
So
think
that's the part about Biden that scares me is he placates to that far left because that's his, that's
But do you
his
think
side.
that's more campaigning where he has to go there now to get elected? So he's going to go as far to that side as he can. But the reality of it is, if he's in office, is that actually ever going to take place? I mean, there's never been a politician that said one thing before the election and went and did the exact opposite afterwards, right?
Not
That's
once,
politics
ever.
101.
It's interesting that that's your take on it. I'd be curious too what our audience thinks, and if you're so polarized that you can't have a discussion about this, please don't comment, because I'm not looking for that. I'm looking for a real discussion and something articulate and thought out. But I'd be curious what you guys think. I personally believe, I think at the end of the day, I would lean more Trump. Like I said, neither one represent me, but I think Trump's more pro-business and more about the police and law and order.
I like what he said. Focus on what you can control and realize that whoever does get put into office is not really going to have a huge effect on your outcome. It's your actions and what you do with the tools in front of you that
Yeah, and
make
what
it
you
happen.
said too, adaptability ends up being the most important. Yeah, I'd be curious though. Post in the comments and let us know how you feel. Maybe we'll talk about this again if somebody says something articulate.
That'd be cool.
It'd be good to know.
Absolutely.
Should we go to questions? The
We
voice of
should.
God?
Yeah. I need the voice of God in my life.
The voice of God is always in your life, my child.
That feels so good.
Love when he says "my child."
I know. It's great. You just feel like you're taken care of.
Okay, question number 1. Hello, my name is Eric. I've been in the automotive industry since I was 16 years old. Now I'm part owner of 2 big European shops in Indiana. The hardest part of the profession is to build good teams, especially finding good techs. I think this problem is both independent and dealers. So my question is, what's the best way to find talented mechanics?
Why are you guys looking at me?
We have a course called Technician Tree that'll teach you how to do it. I don't know that, literally in that course, it's like probably 8 hours of content. There's no way on the show that we could go through that. I think the first step most of the time is stop saying that it's hard to find techs and start getting good at it. And the other thing I would say is basically do the opposite of what everybody else is doing.
Yeah.
All the ads are the same.
Yeah, the ads are the same, the approach, the mindset. And so if everybody's saying it's hard to find techs and everybody's doing the same thing, then stop saying what they're saying and do the exact opposite.
It'll be
but,
easier.
Have we yet to have a hard time finding techs?
Not so much. I think there's been a couple of times where it's been a little bit challenging, but never what everyone thinks it is going into it. The other thing I would say that...
By challenging, you mean that we have to keep trying.
Right. So the other thing I was just going to say is...
Because we've never failed.
Right, we've never failed, but
You have to mix it up.
But to that point, just know that with recruiting and hiring, what you put in is exactly what you get out.
Yeah, I mean, it's always funny to me. I'll be on a strategy session and they're like, oh, we can't find text, and I'll be typing it in to Google and I can't even pull up their ad. And then if you do, it's like, it looks like it's written by an HR department. It's on, what do you call that website? Indeed, which is a waste of time because Indeed only puts it right in your area and it's super expensive. Like, do everything different. That's the answer. And you can buy our on demand. There's a course in there called Technician Tree, and it will walk through. There's templates in there for you, but basically, that's all you need. In a week's time, you can completely change your trajectory. And I don't know, we don't charge enough for that course, honestly, because every tech's worth what, 12 grand in gross?
A month.
Yeah, and I think on demand is like $250 a month. So if you gave us $10,000 and we gave you a couple techs, it would be worth it, right?
Well, the headhunting agencies charge like $5,000.
We've thought about doing that before.
No,
because we're so good at techs, right? But it's not our business model.
So I had just a funny story this morning. A little epiphany came to me, and I'm kind of an impulsive person.
Were you in the shower?
No.
Tell us what you were
I was
doing.
on the tool truck.
You were on the tool truck.
Yes. So
Mac or Snap-on?
Snap-on. So here's what's interesting. In my 4 years at Freedom Auto Repair, we've gone through, I think we're on version 5.2 or whatever. So we've been through that many cycles of employees. So hire quick, fire quick, all that stuff. So today I finally discovered that I was looking at everything wrong. Like, I'm a business owner, and what do I need out of the tech? And it's all about me, 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 me. And what does the business need? And I haven't really focused on the tech. So we have 2 techs now, and one of the new hires has been with us about 6 weeks, and I can tell he's probably one of the better technicians we've had. He can troubleshoot stuff. He does really good work. And, after 6 weeks, you can kind of get a feel for how things are going to go. Mm-hmm. So our normal tool day with Snap-on is on Mondays, and, today's Wednesday, and the tool truck's there. I'm like, it's kind of weird. What's going on? So I go on, and I'm like, hey, what's up? And they're like, oh, I wanted to show him this, scanner because he wants a lab scope on it, and it wasn't working the other day. And I'm like, you want to buy this? My new technician. And I'm like, hey, you want to buy this? He goes, yeah, I'm probably going to get it. And I just like the thought flashed into my head, and I said, I'll make you a deal. You commit to me for X number of years, and I'm not going to get you that. I'm going to get you that, which is the big one with the bells, the whistles, the tool cart.
How much is that, dude?
About 13 grand.
Whew.
So you commit to me for X number of years. On that anniversary date, it's yours, free and clear. I'll pay for it.
Nice.
He got the biggest smile on his, and I was like, okay, I've been doing this all wrong. I've been so focused about pay and benefits and this, and it's more about if you want to find really good technicians, what do they want? What drives them?
They love
What type of
tools.
shop do they want to work in? Do you have the culture to attract the right techs? Are you the type of owner that can lead them and give them the lifestyle that they want? And if you can't find the techs, it's probably because you can't instill the confidence in them that you can provide the lifestyle they want, and they're not going to come over to you.
Yeah. And what happens when that tool truck guy tells somebody else what you did?
Right.
Like, I have a feeling that's going to come back and help you many times over. Oh, yeah. That's a really cool investment, man. That's awesome.
You got another question?
God always has more questions. Question number 2. Chris, man, I love Millionaire Service Advisor. I'm 4 years in as an advisor, and I love my job for many reasons that you mention in the book. I quickly grew to be the number 2 advisor through consistency, and I've recently taken the number 1 spot and keep busting my ceiling. I'm also being groomed for the service manager position by my director. The biggest issue I have is I don't know how to slow down. I consistently end the month with 50 plus more ROs than anyone else, and it leaves me with little time to have good follow through and regularly update. COVID has made it worse as we're down at least one advisor, so I'm left running in circles and most assuredly missing out on sales because I don't have the time. Not to mention leaving customers having to chase me down. I can't stand for a customer to be on the drive waiting, and then I just can't get them. I always ask anyone remotely available to get them, but generally end up falling on the proverbial sword knowing I'm already overloaded. Any advice on this, or do I just embrace the suck and keep making the money I am? Okay, my excuses are out of the way. I'm gonna do everything I can to do as you say and update regularly. It's always been a weak spot for me. You've shown me, no, wrong word, inspired me to fix this issue and to see how much higher I can push the envelope. Now I'm gonna read Irreplaceable Service Manager before rereading Millionaire again. Thanks.
I wish sometimes these were call-ins because I have questions. Like the
Right.
first thing is, are you on Dispatch or Teams too? Because Dispatch creates a whole nother issue sometimes when you're an advisor.
Yeah.
So what? Do you
Well,
want?
I have like three things from. Number one, you're never going to slow down. That's just who you are.
So embrace the suck.
Embrace
Yeah.
the suck. And the thought that has come to my head is you have to have great systems. So you've got to get a proactive communication system in place that allows you to communicate proactively with all of your client base, active work in a fraction of the time of picking up the phone and calling people. You just won't do that. And then, man, if I were you, I'd hire an assistant. I would hire a personal assistant, pay for it out of my check, and even if it's 4 hours a day, just have somebody there to help you do thank you cards, make sure your cars are going through. But if you're at that level and you're producing that much more, for $1,000 a month, $1,500 a month, you could hire some part-time help to come in as an independent contractor to work with you and check with your tax person or whatever. But you probably need an assistant, and then you can really break through that ceiling that you have.
So I think that there's a few little things that can help you here. One is one of the best advisors that we've ever seen was Hassan, right? And so I don't know that anybody has ever broken Hassan's record of 430,000 in parts and labor.
Yeah, we got
Which
one guy in Salt Lake City that's close.
Close. But somebody did break his CP record, his customer pay record, right? But the thing about Hassan was control. Like he did the repair authorization. And so like think about these sort of things. Like if you tell a customer up front, hey, I'm giving myself $2,000 to work with, you don't have to call them as many times, right? Also up front, like if you've connected with those customers and their key throwers, you can control the experience more and tell them like, hey, I'm gonna need it all day, or hey, I need it until tomorrow. So you can tell them the truth up front if you have that relationship with them. And so you're trying to save yourself time on how much you have to update. The reason why I'm curious about Dispatch and Teams, and the other thing I'd be curious about is how do you make your appointments? Because I would spread your appointments out to be every half an hour. It sounds like you might be doing them every 10 minutes. And also like pay attention to how many waiters an hour you guys are making appointments. So limit the waiters to one per hour per advisor. Because that's another thing that throws you off is if you write 4 waiters in a row, a waiter is harder to deal with than somebody that's gone and at work. You also lower your chance of them adding additional stuff, whether they need it or not. If they're waiting, they're gonna be like, oh, if that takes another 2 hours, I'll come back. And so if the car is there and they're not waiting, you have a better opportunity and you can manage the experience more. So I would pay attention to everything, like how long it takes you to write them up, how much of an interval is between each appointment. 30 minutes might be the right one for you because then you can call in between. We usually do 20, but that matters a lot. So all these little details matter. How much you're getting up front, the repair authorization, what you're telling the customers up front, like if you create key throwers and you have a lot of equity with the customers, telling them, hey, we're really busy today, I'm going to need it until tomorrow, and just get that awkward thing out of the way right up front. So to save yourself time, you got to tell the truth more. You got to tell them, hey, it's going to be this much, and I need it until tomorrow, and we're a little behind, or the shop's, we've had a couple big jobs. But telling the truth buys you more time a lot of times instead of always trying to please. And if you have that equity with customers and you take care of customers and you pet the dog and really know them on a deeper level, you can withdraw from that equity.
That makes a lot of sense to me.
It's all in the system.
I've
Those
also got
little things add up.
Yeah, I've also got a question.
Is it really a question?
Well, I think it's really a
I
question.
have one more thing to add to that after your question.
So, are you ready?
I was born ready.
What did the Tin Man say when he got run over by a steamroller?
What did the Tin Man say when he got run over
By a steamroller.
by a steamroller? What?
Curses, foil again. Tin foil.
I love the
thanks.
letdown.
Like that.
The other thing too with that is your technicians. Like one thing that I would do with techs when I was an advisor is my team lead would diagnose the cars right away. So that was kind of his role, was to check them out and let me know what it was. And so I wasn't waiting until the end of the day to have them checked out.
Right.
So whether you're on dispatch or teams kind of matters how you can set that up. But lateral support, and sometimes when you say teams, people think the techs are pulling their hours. So it's really lateral support. But lateral support allows you to take better care of your customers and to create a system that fits your style as an advisor, because you're working with them. It's not like, hey, we're putting it in line in dispatch and seeing who gets it.
Yeah.
So that was really, when I was an advisor in a dispatch shop, it was really, really hard for me to take care of customers. And all the advisors would cheat it and say theirs were waiters or had an early out time. And that just imploded for everybody.
Whoa. You mean not every ticket stamped waiter is actually a waiter?
Yeah.
So weird, isn't it?
We all
If I
did
had
it.
known
I was
that
guilty of
then,
it too.
if I only knew that then. Another
Literally,
good,
we had
another good
this-
one to bypass dispatch is customer request technician number 9.
Remember how I told you my boss used to do blow and smoke weed? Mm-hmm. The dispatcher, I think his name was Joe. I'd be surprised if this guy's still alive. But literally threw my ROs in the alley once. Like, so dispatch was in the alley, kind of.
Yeah.
He threw my ROs out in the alley once because I pushed back on him on a couple things. But one day, one of the other advisors told me, what's in Joe's thermos, whatever. And he had gone to break and we went and opened his thermos. And it was literally 50% whiskey and 50% coffee.
Wow.
Like the guy was drunk all day. That's why he was so angry. He was a functional alcoholic. God, if you could have done a TV show on that disaster of a dealership.
I was just gonna say, like, it's so amazing that you turned out the way that you did, because you had some weird crap happen to you, like, right out of the gate. Like, you had Shane the douche, you had Joe the drunk dispatcher, like, you had the guy that worked with you that said, I hope you stay here for a long time because you make me a lot of money.
That was
like,
a different dealership.
Oh, sorry. I have all those stories in my head are, like, all kind of together, but it's
So
pretty
the
impressive.
dispatch thing does cause a problem. That's what, that I'd be curious for.
So I have 2 more thoughts on this. One KPI that we're tracking now is ATR,
Key performance indicator.
actual time of repairs. So what is your ATR? So if you understand your workflow, your inflow, diagnostic flow, where things are at, how long does it take a car to get through the process, that would help. And then also, as you were going through your stuff, I was sitting here thinking, if I was in that advisor's shoe, I would really just want to maybe take a day and observe and just really work on the business and extract myself out of it so I could fix the problems. Because sounding like the back half of that is they get a lot of drop-ins, unscheduled people that just show up. And those interruptions can really, you get the best plan, but then if you get 10 drop-offs that you weren't planning on, man, your whole workflow just got completely undermined, right? So there's
Yeah, I
some
find
systems
that
they can put in
shops that have a high rate of just drop-ins is because they allow that. Most customers would rather have a time that's dedicated to them.
Yeah.
And so if you make it easy to make an appointment, but most of the time, you know, especially dealerships, they run shorthanded. The advisors can't even write up the customers, let alone answer the phone, right? And so you perceive that customers just want to drive in, but you're not making it easy for them to make an appointment. But most people would rather make an appointment.
Right.
I mean, imagine going to the doctor, the dentist, or something, and not having an appointment. It's ridiculous.
That's like
laugh at
urgent.
you.
Okay, so you just described a private practice versus urgent care or the ER,
Yeah.
right?
We'd much rather be the private
I
practice.
mean, I've had Toyota guys and Nissan guys go, oh, our customers, they won't make appointments. And 3 months later, we're 80% appointments.
Yeah.
It's never been the truth. Their
Much.
perception is that, but what they do is make it really difficult. But for us, controlling what's coming in controls what's going out, and it controls the experience, right?
Yep.
To say like, hey, let's just open the doors every day and just see what the hell happens. That's not an approach.
Customers get the logic thing for sure.
Like you want to figure out how many an advisor can write like 3 an hour and have time to call customers back. You only want 1 waiter an hour per advisor, depending on the car brand. All of that, get them in early, the whole thing, it all matters. Those little edges add up. So great question. Was his name Eric?
Eric. His name was
Erock?
Eric.
Great question, Erock. And I think that these things we're talking about are going to serve you as you go up and become a manager. You can kind of start to understand as an advisor how you're a victim to the systems that leadership puts in place. So I always felt like, hey, now that I'm in charge, I'm going to set the advisors up for success by controlling the appointments, by controlling how much time they have to spend. Because a lot of times we think in leadership that, oh, our advisors aren't very good. And really, we've done everything that we can on our end to sabotage them. We think they can write 25 a day, no, all waiters, and be successful. And it's not the case.
Right.
So, good job. Good question.
Absolutely.
Fun show?
Fun show.
You guys look very serious.
We did take this very seriously.
What's something that you can give somebody and you keep it?
You take this one.
So you give it, and yet you keep it at the same time? Thinking about Jeremy, herpes.
Syphilis.
You changed the answer.
Dang it!
I thought we already used that one. That's
Thanks,
crazy.
you guys. Have a great week,
Awesome.
and we'll see you next time on Service Drive Revolution. Thanks for watching this episode of Service Drive Revolution. If you have any questions, go ahead and post them in the comments below. Make sure you subscribe and hit the bell icon so you're notified when we post new episodes. I'm Chris Collins, and you can find me on Facebook and Instagram at Chris Bulldog Collins. And I'll see you again on the next episode.